Hey everyone, my name is Meera. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm starting another weekly reading vlog. I'm going to be picking up Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Now, if you know me, obviously you'd know that this is not the first time I'm reading it. It's the fourth or fifth time, I think. But still, it never gets old, and I'm so excited to get started with it. If you've not read Pride and Prejudice, then you really must watch this vlog to know what it's about and why so many people love it. But if you have read it, I'm pretty sure you'll still have fun watching this vlog, because who doesn't want to be reminded of how awesome Jane Austen and Elizabeth Bennet are? So tomorrow I have an exam and I'm mostly prepared for it, but I just need to do a little revision which will happen in the evening. Before that, I need to film and edit a video for tomorrow so that there's no hassle tomorrow and I'm not running around last minute trying to get a video uploaded in time. Anyway, I hope you enjoy watching this video. I was just editing the video while I was waiting for it to get saved. I figured I could get started with reading Pride and Prejudice. And the first line is such a classic. It goes, "It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife." In fact, the first entire page sets the tone for the entire novel, because Austen very systematically introduces these notions about wealth, marriage, society, social interactions that are very recurring throughout the rest of the novel. Mr. Bennet is just so calm and composed, whereas Mrs. Bennet is really frantic. She wants to be one of the first few people who make an impression on the Bingley family so that her daughters have a better chance of being a suitable partner for Mr. Bingley. Within that first page itself, we are made aware of just how important these matters are in society, how not just women but even men get objectified, and how these ladies, these married ladies who have daughters of their own, use the grapevine in order to gossip about other people, gossip about their neighbors, spread rumors, and inform one another about who is available in society, who is looking to get married, and things like that. So I have just about finished the first chapter. I don't think I'll be able to read much else tonight because I need to study for tomorrow's exam. Will revise for the exam. But I'm so happy that I picked up Pride and Prejudice. It's always such a delight to be reading Jane Austen's writings. Today is an all-day reading kind of day. I live for such days. It's all rainy and cloudy outside, perfect reading weather. I just went down for a walk with my mom because I feel like I've been neglecting being active and procrastinating going to the gym. So I thought I should start the day on a good note. Yesterday was my fourth exam, so just one more left to go. I didn't vlog anything yesterday, but anyway, after I finish all these exams, I will finally have time to sit down, do my freelance work and all of the work that's been pending. Today, before I continue reading Pride and Prejudice, I thought that I should show you some really exciting book mail I got from HarperCollins. It shouldn't come across as a surprise to you that I love book mail. So right now I'm gonna try and unbox this. I know what's in it, so it's not a surprise, but still it's exciting. One of the books that's there in this has to do with a certain topic that I had to study this semester. So that's perfect. You'll see which one I'm talking about soon enough. Well, just as soon as I get this open. Please don't damage the book. Please don't damage the book. Please don't damage the book. Oh no, no, no. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, so there is a surprise in here. This book is called What You Do Is Who You Are by Ben Horowitz. says how to create your business culture. This will be an interesting read. As I'm just flipping through the pages, one of this chapter says, be yourself, design your culture. Yeah, this is going to be really interesting to pick up. The second one is the one I'm most elated to read. It's called Targeted by Brittany Kaiser. This is a non-fiction book which is about the Cambridge Analytica scandal that happened. If you've heard of this documentary called The Great Hack, Brittany Kaiser is part of that documentary, and so it's going to be a really insightful read because she's written this book. You should definitely check out that documentary and pick up this book if you're interested in what it has to offer. So a big thanks to HarperCollins for sending across these two non-fictions. I have been increasingly trying to acquaint my taste to more non-fiction titles, and I am really looking forward to picking up both of these books. It's close to 12:30 and I'm on page 24. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but as you may have noticed, I've been marking out passages, writing little notes. So far, we're just being reminded of how much of a vested interest everyone has in the institution of marriage and the importance they place on socializing, interacting with each other. There's a part where Mr. Bennet, when talking about Mr. Bingley, says that one cannot know what a man really is by the end of a fortnight. Yet they're all tripping over each other, trying to make his acquaintance and trying to set up one of their daughters with him. I know Mr. Bennet is considerably more detached and disinterested in all of this when you consider how Mrs. Bennet has been behaving, but still he does consent to all of this. He does say that he is fine if Mr. Bingley is to choose one of his daughters. I'm slowly being reminded of just how much I like Jane Austen's writing. It has that classic tone to it, yet it's not alienating. I am really enjoying rereading Pride and Prejudice, and we've been introduced to Mr. Darcy, but so far it's just a lot of talk of how arrogant he is, and I can understand why people may consider him as being proud and conceited, but there's a point during the ball where I agree with what Mr. Darcy says. I mean, you wouldn't be happy either if you were forced to interact with certain people that you didn't want to. So in that way, I agree that if he's just a little held back, that's totally up to him. Not everyone's the most social. I mean, people who are introverted, they can understand what I'm trying to say. You don't always want to feel compelled to talk to everybody at social gatherings. So that I'm able to relate to what Mr. Darcy says. But then what he proceeds to say about Elizabeth, that was in poor taste. So no. I don't know if it's because it's been a while since I last read Pride and Prejudice, but I feel like a lot of the scenes that I remember from the book have already taken place, and I've only read around 60 pages so far. I've read the scene where Darcy and Elizabeth meet for the first time, the part where his feelings towards her begin to change, like his opinions of her change for the better, the scene where Jane falls ill and she's forced to stay at Mr. Bingley's place. That chapter was so appalling to read, the way Mrs. Bennet was behaving. She knows that her daughter is ill, she's miserable, can't get out of the bed, yet this woman is rejoicing at the fact that Jane will be forced to stay at Mr. Bingley's place. That was horrid. Now I'll have to continue studying for tomorrow, but I don't want to. I just want to keep reading Pride and Prejudice. So I've sort of made a bargain with myself that for every section I finish studying, I get to read a couple of pages. At this rate, I think I'll get more reading done than studying tonight, but all's well. finally done with my exams. I just have one more semester of college left. Yesterday, I started my internship as a book editor. So during these holidays, in addition to doing some freelance work, I will also be editing a book. Currently, I'm reading chapter 15 of Pride and Prejudice. This is the part where Mr. Collins comes to stay with the Bennets. He is Mr. Bennet's cousin and also the heir to their estate, which means that the five Bennet sisters don't really inherit much from their parents, because during those times they needed a male heir to inherit all the wealth and property, and women couldn't own any property. And so it is said that Mr. Collins feels bad about this, about the way the daughters will be left with pretty much nothing. There is just, I feel like he may be well intentioned, but there are certain things he says and does which I'm not really liking, in the sense that there's a part in the chapter where he says that he intends to make amends for this whole situation by planning to get married to one of the Bennet sisters, as if he's doing them a favor by getting married to them, so they will still be living at the estate even after he inherits it all. What irks me even more is that he initially planned to get married to Jane, and then when Mrs. Bennet's like, oh no, she's gonna get engaged soon, he's like, oh okay, so Jane's not available, I guess I'll be fine with Elizabeth. That is literally how quick he is to change his mind about getting married to one of the Bennet sisters. I know, I mean, in those days, such things were acceptable and probably even encouraged, but it just feels really weird. So, Mr. Collins, not a favorite character. I'm currently on page 136 of Pride and Prejudice. Lizzie is just so headstrong and stubborn. I can sort of relate to that. But she's falling for everything Mr. Wickham tells her about how Mr. Darcy and his entire family has cheated him, how they're not good people. So many people have tried to convince her otherwise and tell her that Mr. Wickham is not a nice person. She shouldn't be believing everything he says. Caroline has tried, her own sister Jane has told her as much, but all of their efforts are falling on deaf ears because Lizzie just wants to keep on believing what Mr. Wickham is telling her. I think it's her dislike of Mr. Darcy and her adamant mindset that is propelling her to falling for all this BS. Also, remember how I told you Mr. Collins is not really a favorite character? Well, that has been set in stone now, because I read through the scene where he proposes to Lizzie, and despite her numerous attempts to tell him she doesn't want to get married to him, he just refuses to accept that. He thinks that this is some tactic of hers to make herself look more appealing or something. He is of the opinion that even though she's rejecting him, she actually likes him. What nonsense is that? And then when the matter blows out of proportion, the whole Bennet family gets involved. Everyone comes to realize that no one can convince Lizzie to do something she doesn't want to. So then he becomes resentful and bitter. He's just such a bad sport. I don't like his character. I'm currently reading the chapter where Jane receives this letter from Caroline Bingley telling her that they're all going out of town. She doesn't know when they'll be back. And she also hints at the idea that Mr. Bingley and Darcy's sister would make a good match. So obviously Jane is disheartened, she's upset, and I feel so bad for her because she's such a sweetheart. I really like her and Elizabeth's bond. They are so supportive of each other. I'm going to end this vlog here. There will definitely be a part 2 to my Pride and Prejudice reading vlog. Maybe even a part 3. Let's see. I hope you had fun watching this video, and let me know if you've read Pride and Prejudice. If not, tell me why. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.